eating the wrong dish managed to cost him 18 years of his life. In the foyer of the St. Regis Hotel in Aspen, Prince Khalid bin Al Saud was having a thunderous breakdown and yelling and raving about an offense that had been committed against him. "You have insulted my honor," the prince yelled. "My royal father will be furious, I can tell you that much. With royalty, you don't conduct business in this manner." The prince was accustomed to receiving the respect befitting the son of the Saudi king. A few days prior, he had arrived in Aspen aboard the private jet of business magnate Jeffrey Soffer, who was hoping to sell him a 30% stake in the renowned Fontainebleau Hotel in Miami Beach for $440 million. The prince was now yelling at Soffer's officials while being accompanied by his diamond-studded chihuahua, Foxy, and threatening to sue them for their impoliteness. Soffer's crew was about to learn the prince's dirty little secret, that he wasn't actually a member of the Saudi royal family, and that was the clear reason for the tantrum. He was as far from royalty as he could possibly be. His real name was Anthony Enrique Gignac, and he was a serial con artist. He was actually a Colombian orphan adopted by a Michigan family and had started an astonishing 30-year charade of conning people. As Gignac ordered prosciutto at a restaurant, Soffer and his family began to be skeptical of Gignac. This is because pork is a prohibited meat for Muslims. Nevertheless, a source close to the investigation had subsequently informed that Gignac's Gucci tiger print-covered iPhone rang in Aspen. And it was the first indication that Soffer's team was on to him. The source claims that it was in relation to the Fisher Island property that he was renting. Gignac had convinced Soffer's team that he was the owner of the entire high-rise, all 54 opulent condos, on Miami's private 216-acre estate. Now, a person close to Gignac in Florida was calling to inform him that Soffer's team was conducting the two actions that a con man despises the most, due diligence. The caller informed him, "Listen, someone came over asking about you. They were checking to determine if you actually owned the property." Gignac must have been aware of his predicament. The source claims that he recognized at that point that they were on to him. If somebody happens to start checking and finds out he is only renting a single condo, and does not own the whole building, then he has been lying to them. As a result, Gignac immersed himself even more in character, just as he had done repeatedly over the course of 3 decades of increasingly bold frauds. The source had reported that he was yelling in the lobby. Gignac's own business manager, Carl Martin Williamson, rushed over to calm him down because the outburst was so brutal. A female British investment banker who had introduced Gignac to the Soffers and was a member of his entourage also broke down in tears. Gignac then increased the con to an even greater degree. After his breakdown, the investment banker went over to a colleague of Soffer's in the lobby. She told him that the agreement would not go through since the prince's honor had been insulted by him. "He's asking for a gift," which was one way they could make things right with him again. The prince argued that extravagant presents were a sign of respect during negotiations in the Middle East. He had already received pricey artwork from Soffer, as well as a $5,000 diamond-encrusted dog collar and other gifts for Foxy. His Highness now desired a more expensive item, and the lender said, "It has to be at least $50,000. Gignac's grandiose stage performances fell short of their intended goal of assuaging suspicions. Soffer's security crew dug even deeper after the collapse at the St. Regis. The insider said that they are already skeptical because the prince's business dealings were not conducted in a customary manner. Everything seemed odd, and their attorneys are having difficulties dealing with Gignac's attorneys. Gignac returned from Aspen aboard Soffer's jet and made another terrible error. According to the complaint, he offered to take one of Soffer's executives home after the plane landed in Miami and insisted that since he was a diplomat, he could speed without fear of getting a ticket. It is an offense to impersonate a diplomat, which would finally lead to the release of a certain pack of bloodhounds. The Soffer team got in touch with DC Page, a former federal agent who now owns and operates Miami-based V2 Global. Gignac truly believed he was this persona that he made up, Page and his research team found. Getting close to influential people was the first step of the fraud. And this made it easier to defraud investors of their money in the second phase of the fraud. He desired a relationship with the Soffer family so he could simply claim to be close to them. He gains credibility when speaking with possible investors because of it. The case of the phony Saudi prince had been assigned to two of the DSS's most capable agents. They recognized the snaggle-toothed prince with the bowl haircut as a forgery the moment they saw his photo. His teeth were what gave him away, big time, says the source. Because Middle Eastern royals, particularly Saudis, take good care of their teeth. The agents soon discovered that roughly half of the high-end jewelry Gignac liked to flaunt on Instagram was a forgery. To save money on maintaining appearances, he frequently purchased the cheapest Rolexes available and had a jeweler glue inexpensive diamonds to all of them. He would lease or borrow luxury cars and yachts under various guises, then explained their eventual disappearances by saying he was tired of them. One aspect of Gignac's ruse impressed even agents with the Diplomatic Security Service. While they were carrying out the search warrant on his Fisher Island condo, a young boy, perhaps 9 or 10 years old, approached one of them. "Are you a DSS?" he inquired. The prince had given his personal bodyguards bogus Diplomatic Security Service badges to wear on their lapels. "We looked at Gignac's counterfeit badges, and they looked better than the real thing," says the source.